In the heart of Jerusalem's Old City, along the sacred Via Dolorosa, stands one of the most moving sights of Christian tradition, the Church of the Flagellation of Jesus. According to belief, it was here that Christ, already condemned by Pontius Pilate, suffered the scourging by Roman soldiers before carrying the cross to Calvary. The church, managed by the Franciscans, is not only a religious landmark but also a silent testimony to the faith and suffering of Jesus. Among symbolic stained glass windows, impressive mosaics, and remnants of the past, the church invites pilgrims from all over the world to a moment of prayer, reflection, and connection with the Passion of Christ. Today's topic is the Church of the Flagellation in Jerusalem, Israel. Here are 10 facts about it. 10 Part of Jesus' path. The Church of the Flagellation of Jesus is part of the Via Dolorosa, the traditional path Jesus walked after being condemned to death until his crucifixion on Mount Golgotha. According to Christian tradition, this was the place where Jesus endured the lashes of the Roman soldiers, a brutal punishment that preceded his journey to Calvary. At that time, flagellation was a severe form of punishment imposed by the Roman Empire on prisoners and those condemned to death. It was carried out with leather whips intertwined with pieces of metal or bone, causing deep cuts and significant blood loss. This punishment not only weakened the victim but also publicly humiliated them. Although the exact location of the flagellation has not been confirmed archaeologically, Christian tradition associates it with the Antonia fortress, where Pontius Pilate is believed to have judged Jesus. Therefore, the Church represents this moment of extreme suffering and injustice, making it one of the most significant sites on the Via Dolorosa. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe so you don't miss any interesting facts. 9 Station of the Way of the Cross. The Via Dolorosa consists of 14 stations, each marking a significant moment of Jesus' journey to his crucifixion. The Church of the Flagellation represents the second station, one of the most painful episodes of Christ's Passion. The second station recalls the moment when Jesus, already condemned to death, is cruelly scourged by Roman soldiers. After this torture, he is crowned with thorns, placed on his head as an act of mockery, and dressed in a purple robe, ridiculed as a false king. Inside the church, the decoration and architecture reflect this suffering. The central altar symbolizes the moment of the flagellation, creating a space for prayer and reflection. Pilgrims walking the Via Dolorosa stop at the church to meditate on this part of the Passion, remembering Christ's suffering before he carried his cross to Calvary. 8. Ancient origins. The veneration of the site where the Church of the Flagellation stands today dates back to the early centuries of Christianity. During the Byzantine period, 4th to 7th centuries, Christians already identified this place as part of Christ's judgment and suffering. In the 12th century, during the Crusader rule in the Holy Land, a chapel was built on the site. The Crusaders, who controlled Jerusalem between 1099 and 1187, had great reverence for the places associated with Christ's Passion and built churches and monasteries to commemorate these events. However, after the fall of Jerusalem to the Muslims, the chapel was destroyed and remained in ruins for centuries. The modern reconstruction of the church took place in the 19th century when the Franciscans, responsible for several Christian sanctuaries in the Holy Land, received permission to restore the site. Built in a neo-Gothic style, the new church was designed to resemble medieval architecture, reminiscent of churches from the time of the Crusades. Today, the Church of the Flagellation is part of the Convent of the Flagellation, a Franciscan complex that includes a monastery, an archaeological museum, and the Church of the Condemnation, another site associated with Christ's Passion. 7. Symbolic stained glass. One of the most striking details of the Church of the Flagellation is its central stained glass window, which carries profound symbolism. This stained glass depicts the crown of thorns, representing the humiliation and suffering of Jesus. The instruments of the Passion, such as the whip used in the flagellation, the nails of the crucifixion, and the spear that pierced Christ's side. The purple robe, symbolizing the mockery of the Roman soldiers, who ironically called Jesus the King of the Jews. In addition to this main stained glass window, other visual representations reinforce the theme of Christ's Passion. 6. Ancient stone pavement. In the courtyard of the Church of the Flagellation, there is an ancient stone pavement that, according to some traditions, may be part of the Lithostrotos, the place where Jesus was condemned and scourged. Some believe these stones could be part of the pavement of the Antonia fortress, where Pilate is said to have judged Jesus. However, there is debate among archaeologists, as other parts of the Lithostrotos are located beneath the convent of the Sisters of Zion nearby. Even without definitive confirmation, these ancient stones make the courtyard a site of great spiritual significance, where pilgrims pause to pray and reflect on the final moments of Jesus before he carried his cross. 5. Proximity to the Antonia fortress. The Church of the Flagellation is located near the site believed to have been the Antonia fortress, an imposing military structure built by Herod the Great in the 1st century BC. The fortress was strategically positioned to oversee the Temple of Jerusalem and serve as barracks for Roman troops. According to Christian tradition, it was inside the Antonia fortress that Pontius Pilate condemned Jesus to death and where the flagellation took place. The Gospel of John mentions that Pilate brought Jesus to the Lithostrotos, a stone pavement that was part of this structure. However, scholars question this location. Some archaeologists suggest that Jesus' trial may have taken place elsewhere, such as Herod's palace, which was located in the western part of the city. Despite these uncertainties, Christian tradition has established the Church of the Flagellation as one of the most important sites on the Via Dolorosa. Today, the church and its courtyard attempt to recreate the atmosphere of that time, helping pilgrims reflect on Jesus' suffering as he was humiliated and scourged by Roman soldiers. For part of the convent of the Flagellation. The Church of the Flagellation is not an isolated site but part of a larger complex called the Convent of the Flagellation, managed by the Franciscans. This convent includes the Church of the Condemnation, located next to the Church of the Flagellation. It symbolizes the moment when Jesus received his cross and began his journey to Calvary. A Franciscan monastery, where monks responsible for maintaining the site and welcoming pilgrims reside. The Museum of the Holy Land, an important archaeological center housing relics from the history of Jerusalem and the time of Jesus. The convent holds great significance for the Franciscans, who have been present in the Holy Land for centuries and are responsible for preserving various sacred sites. They conduct prayers and masses at the location, allowing visitors and the faithful to have a profound spiritual experience while walking the Via Dolorosa. 3. Museum of the Holy Land. Inside the Convent of the Flagellation, visitors can explore the Museum of the Holy Land, a space dedicated to archaeology and the history of Christianity in the region. The museum contains ancient maps of Jerusalem, showing how the city looked during Jesus' time, Archaeological artifacts, such as coins, ceramics, and tools from the Roman period. 3D models, helping visualize the Antonia Fortress and other historical locations. Fragments of mosaics and inscriptions, some dating back to the Byzantine era and the Crusades. The museum is an essential visit for those who want to better understand the historical context of the Via Dolorosa and the crucifixion of Jesus. It provides a detailed look at the transformations Jerusalem has undergone over the centuries, helping pilgrims connect faith and history in a deeper way. 2. Impressive mosaics. The interior of the Church of the Flagellation is adorned with impressive mosaics that depict scenes from the Passion of Christ. The mosaics are crafted with rich detail and vibrant colors, intensifying the spiritual experience of visitors. The light filtering through the stained glass windows creates a special effect on the images, making the atmosphere even more contemplative. The art of the mosaics in the Church of the Flagellation follows the Byzantine style, characterized by expressive figures, golden backgrounds, and symbolic richness. This artistic tradition, widely used in historic churches, helps convey a sense of transcendence and sacredness. 1. Ecumenical importance. Although managed by Franciscan Catholics, the Church of the Flagellation holds great significance for various Christian denominations, making it an important ecumenical gathering place. Among the Christian groups that visit the site for prayer and reflection on the Passion of Christ are Catholics, who view the Via Dolorosa as a sacred path and hold processions through the church. Orthodox Christians, who respect the tradition of the Via Dolorosa and often include the church in their pilgrimages. Protestants, who visit the site as part of their reflections on Jesus' final moments. The ecumenism of the Church of the Flagellation reflects the significance of the Via Dolorosa for all Christians, regardless of their specific tradition. The site symbolizes the suffering and sacrifice of Christ, which transcend doctrinal differences and unite the faithful in prayer and contemplation. Additionally, this ecumenical significance is reinforced by the presence of visitors from all over the world, making the church a space of communion among various cultures and nationalities. Another factor that highlights its importance is the church's proximity to other sacred sites of different Christian traditions, making it a convergence point for those seeking to experience the spirituality of Christ's Passion. And with that, we conclude another fascinating story full of curiosities. See you in the next story.